sometimes I appear I'm living my life because, I mean, his saying was always like, you didn't die, you have to live. And so like, I hear that motto, like this summer, it was usually our time together. We would always take a big trip and we just really could focus. My kids would be away. And so my goal is to just keep moving and experiencing because that's what he'd want. Just keep living. But it doesn't mean you can post a happy picture, but the next minute you're like missing him desperately and crying. But I'm not someone that really wants to show too much grief. It's just not my nature, but it's there. Oh, it's there.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. Know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the clip out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 272. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe.
Hello.
Hello. So, how was 800?
It was really nice.
Was it?
It was. It was a lot of fun because I got a shout out, which I
Yes.
did not expect.
I know. And as do listeners of Real Spoilers.
Sorry.
Because they could hear you shouting.
Well, I got excited. I might have screamed. I might have wooed. I am a woo girl.
You are a woo girl.
It's in my nature. Not much I can do about it. When the mood strikes, I gotta woo.
That you do.
And so I wooed. Also, it was really just so much fun. There were so many people on the ride that I haven't ridden with in so long. Like, it just like we haven't been on the same schedule, or
Right.
I haven't been taking a lot of classes, and it was just so neat to be on this ride with so many people. I mean, I got so many high fives. I felt so much love from the community. It was fantabulous.
Yeah, you posted that Instagram post of scrolling through your high fives, and you're like scrolling as fast as you can for like 20 seconds straight of just all the high fives. So
Yeah, it was a lot of love.
So then, speaking of you wooing,
Yeah.
you also booked a class in studio.
I did. Okay, so your birthday falls on September 24th. I
I'm
don't know if you're
familiar.
aware.
I am aware of when
that.
my birthday was. I mean, granted, I was very young at the time.
Okay.
But I've seen pictures.
Well,
Not of the actual birth.
oh, thank God.
That would be gross.
Yeah.
And in sepia tone.
Ooh. But at any rate, so we were talking about going into New York for that weekend, and you get to go see a play for your birthday.
Yes.
And I get to go to class. And so I was waiting with bated breath to be able to like sign up. And I got into Jen's Sunday class for cycling.
Mm-hmm.
I got into Ross Rayburn's class on Friday
Right.
for yoga. And I get to take a run with Adrian, which is at 5 o'clock. And it's the DJ run, which I didn't even realize.
Oh, that's
I was
cool.
just trying to like take classes with people I haven't met yet
Right.
in real life. And so that's how we ended up there.
Oh, awesome.
But I'm really, really excited. And
Yeah.
so I don't know what else we're going to do. I've been talking to Gordon Walker,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about maybe having like a pillow gathering
Oh.
that Friday night. So stay tuned. Watch the Facebook pages.
Or the
might
group
be.
is probably the best
Yeah,
place
the
to be.
Facebook
Yeah.
group, really.
Yeah, for sure. And then just a last minute addition, we're going to be in Dallas next week on Monday.
We are.
So if anybody wants to hang out in Dallas on Monday, that's where we will be.
Yeah.
So this will come out on Friday, and we leave Monday morning. We'll be there Monday day because it's a plane, right? It gets there
Right.
in a timely manner.
It does.
And so if anybody wants to hang out, we
Let
will
us
be
know.
in Dallas. Yeah.
We'll be in Dallas.
So anyway, what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
Well, we have a wonderful interview with Carey Sokol. You might remember that we interviewed her once before. And by you, I mean the community.
Right, because I don't remember anything. No, I remember Carrie.
Of course you
Yeah.
remember Carrie. You cannot forget Carrie. And she talks about finishing her 50 for 50 marathons and the bittersweet way that she wrapped that up.
Yes.
And of course, we talk all about Howie, because you can't talk to Carrie without talking about Howie.
Right.
in my mind, I know Howie is gone, but they are a couple, like
Sure.
in my mind, and they are linked. They are forever linked,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And so we will be telling stories and having fun. I might have teared up a little. It's, you know. We also have a visit from John Mills, and we are going to be discussing what the hell is happening over at Peloton.
Been a crazy week.
Oh my God. Raise the prices, drop the prices. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm on first. He's on third. I don't know. That's
Third base.
Yeah. Well, that's what's happening. So we're going to talk about that. And of course, we got to talk about the assembly. Now you're going to do it yourself. We got to talk just all the stuff that's come out this week. In addition, we have a visit from Dr. Jenn. We talk about psychosomatic symptoms, about like not being able to get comfortable on your bike.
Right.
What's psychosomatic? What isn't? We also have so much information with all of the instructors. They're everywhere again. And then we have a visit from Angelo, and I can't remember what we talked to him about because I don't see it on my list as I'm scrolling, but I know we talked to him.
We did talk to him.
We did talk to
Yes.
him. Are you sure you put it on this list?
Yeah, it was menopause.
There it is. Staying consistent.
First off, this is where you should apologize to me
It says
for...
Met Pro, not Angelo.
Okay.
So I was looking for Angelo as I was quickly scanning. And we talk about menopause and being consistent. We have some competitor news, and there's some new things hitting the schedule.
Okay. So, I mean, you weren't scanning so quickly that you couldn't accuse me of not putting it on the list, but here we are. Shameless plugs. Don't forget we're available on...
Seems like you're trying to shame to me.
Don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That's super helpful, not just for us, but also for the people that come along after you. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Don't forget, we have a Patreon now, patreon.com/theclipout, where you can get these episodes ad-free and bonus content. We just put out a new episode kind of talking about the topic before the topic, right? Like, so
I just realized this weekend, by the way, when we do bonus episodes, that I put no production into it. There's no
song.
There's
or
no
anything.
song.
It's just, we just go.
We
It's
just-
very raw.
we just start talking.
Then they're hardly edited, so you get.
You get us
If you
unedited. Good luck.
If you want to see how many we normally use, this would be a good A/B test for you. Yeah,
This is it. Sorry.
But anyway, yeah. So when all the craziness was going on with the price hikes and the store closing, we did a little special episode for people just talking about that. You can also sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com, and of course you can watch these episodes if you are so inclined on YouTube at youtube.com/theclipout. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Run, lift, and live with John Mills.
So joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube, it's John Mills from Run, Lift, Live. Hey, John, how's it going?
How's it going?
Oh, I love the energy.
He needs extra
What's going
energy
on?
because he forgot his Baby Shark shirt.
Yeah.
I know.
Where's your shark
I thought
shirt? Where is it?
I thought I had picked up the right one, but it just was the same color. It was and Erica's not here, so that's as far as I could go.
You didn't have like a quality
what do I do now?
assurance. You didn't have quality
Right.
assurance built in.
No, I didn't know what else to do. I was lost. That was it.
Oh,
I didn't have
John.
a plan B. I didn't know what else.
It's
Erica's plan B, and she's not here, so I don't know what else to do.
you didn't have a plan C?
No.
No. Okay. I mean,
It's been a crazy week for me this week.
what's
It's
going
good stuff.
on? What's going on?
Lots of good stuff been happening, but it's good stuff that then things you've been waiting for, and it actually worked. It happened. So now I have to work. I have to do something, and so I just been heads down like all week. Like it's a good thing, but I haven't been able to do all kinds of like normal things, like get a haircut and shave. So I look all nuts and I'm all scrambled. But it's good. But it's bad. But it's good. you know?
Laundry's not getting done. He hasn't had a haircut.
Right.
He hasn't had a shave.
My shirt. Right.
Are you homeless?
People are like, John, are you okay? They're like, John, are you all right?
Is
I'm
Erica
like, yes, it's great.
Is Erica
They're
still
like,
living with you? Did she?
Yeah. They're like, are you sure it's okay? You can tell us. But it is. It's all good.
Well, that's good.
I'm glad it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you've had a stressful week. And
Yeah, it's good, though.
the shark shirt will be back.
Yes.
Like, I have
It'll be back.
confidence. It's okay.
Yeah, it'll be back. Yeah.
Well, as stressful as your week's been, I don't think it's been as stressful as Peloton's
Oh my
week.
God.
Oh, man.
There are so many
man.
places to start. I'm not sure where to start.
Just dive into one of
wow.
them.
Okay,
Just
we'll
pick
start
one.
with the pricing. Surprise! It costs
Oh.
more.
Yeah.
Ouch.
All
Oh,
right.
they go from the bike was $24.95, the Bike Plus, then it was $19.95, and then we're back to $24.95.
You know, okay, so I had a friend of mine send me what they paid in January. Now this is for the tread. So this is a small tread.
Okay.
So we've got a Peloton tread, we've got 12-month limited warranty, we've got a 27-month extended warranty.
Yeah.
That equals $27.25. Add the tax on, and we're at $28.88. Now this friend went today and put the exact same tread in the cart just to compare.
Right.
And and that came to now they do have a 48-month extended warranty, so it is a little bit different.
Okay.
But the new price, hold on, I got to scroll because we got into the AFO conversation whenever I was texting back and forth with this person. So that price went from $27 to $39.68. That is from January to August.
Oh,
Bam.
man.
I mean, come on.
So a regular tread now costs almost what you paid for a Tread Plus.
Yeah.
For a Tread Plus. That's right.
That is.
I don't know if, I saw what Uncle Barry was saying about like getting back to this kind of affluent, aspirational kind of brand, and, you know, prices will reflect that. And like, I saw all that, but still, ouch, really?
It's just so sudden. But
what?
But you know, okay, one, I'm just confused because it was in January that they cut the prices. So we just have the confusion of like up, down, up, down. It's just confusing messaging. But then add on to it that people went to go buy the tread because he announced this on August 12th. And when you went to the website on August 12th, boom, new pricing that day. Like it was already in effect when they released the media. So people, of course, were like, dude, I was like going to buy a tread. Now what?
Right.
So then Peloton's like, you know what? We're going to go ahead and credit you a refund back.
We got you.
We got you. If you have been a loyal Peloton customer, we got you. Oh, well,
don't worry.
That's so nice. Like everybody was so excited, and they say, oh, we're gonna honor that until August 19th. So people flock to the store. They flock to the online. They start buying. You know, just. That was them buying.
Right.
They were buying really crazy.
Right.
And
okay.
Yeah, that was. And so then then Monday, all of a sudden, you hear these whispers. Oh no, they're ending it today, but they're saying it's going to be all day. So this is like at 10 a.m. They're like, oh, we're going to honor it all day, but this is the last day. So everybody's rushing. Okay.
Right.
Multiple people were talking to the store. They were in the store. They talked to the salesperson, and the salesperson says, don't worry. You're gonna get your refund. And then and at least one person called customer service from the store and said, are you sure I'm getting my refund? Oh yeah, we got you. We got you.
Right.
She finishes the transaction. She gets in her car. She drives home. It's 60 minutes later. She calls up to process her refund. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. We ended that today.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that. It may not have been the same one, but I saw a person
because it happened to so many people. It happened to so many people. What the holy hell is happening?
I don't know. That whole thing. Well, at first I thought, this could be like a diabolical way to get people to buy treads, right?
Get them off the fence. Yeah.
And one day you go, oh, it's 800 more.
Right.
Psych. Isn't it right? Like
then you get them off the fence and you take back the deal.
Yeah.
Like, just kidding.
As soon as you took it back the deal, now you're like Lex Luthor. Like, right. I don't,
Yeah.
You're like that guy on Austin Powers, $1 million.
Yeah.
So everybody I know has now canceled the tread they were going to buy. Every single person. But
I mean, I would cancel it just on principle.
Absolutely.
Like, even if it meant I had to buy a more expensive tread from another company,
I'm done.
Right.
I'd be like, go F yourself.
But here's the thing.
Right.
These people have been escalating. I have talked to so many people. They escalate. Does not matter where they get. Leadership says no. In fact, one of our listeners, it's actually, I'm going to go ahead and call her out, Terry Shelley, because she posted everywhere about this. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I was in Atlantic City with her. John, I know you know Terry.
Yes.
So she was told on Monday, okay, you had already bought it. It was in your cart. We can see that on Friday.
Right.
This was 10 a.m. on Monday. We're going to go ahead and give you the credit. She's like, great, let's go ahead and do this. So she was happy. So I was posting all about this angrily on Monday. She's like, I got my credit, girl. And this is how. Right. So then fast forward to the next day, they took it back.
Oh,
they called her Tuesday and they were like, just kidding. Leadership took it back. The approval we got is gone. What?
Oh,
Yikes.
And how desperate does this look on Peloton's part? It's like, we have no money, so we can't afford to give it back to you. That is the message I am hearing loud and clear.
I'm struggling. I guess that's the only place you can come to. I'm trying to figure out where else could you go with that.
But it doesn't make any sense because let's say that is the case. I mean, it's just what I hear, but this is what I'm hearing from their actions. I mean, not people telling me that, just to be clear.
Right.
But if it's not that, then explain to me, now you have all these treads that were about to be purchased that everyone just like, nope. Never mind.
Yeah.
So if you're that hard up for cash, explain to me how this makes any sense.
Some money's better than no money, and you'd have been fine with that sale on Thursday. Why are you not fine with that sale on Friday?
That's exactly where I'm
offer some grace.
If they said August 19th, then why didn't just? Who cares if I heard someone say that there were folks that were like buying them to like resell them, and so that's why Peloton pushed back. In my mind, I'm like, so what? Like, even if that was the case, I don't get it. You were selling them for that price yesterday. And now all of a sudden they're buying them.
And I don't understand what that would have to do with any, like, why would you care? Like, I mean,
why would you care?
I haven't heard that, but let's just say that were true. None of these explanations are logical. I mean, none of them.
Doesn't make any sense.
And if you're that concerned about people reselling them, then you just say, okay, one per address.
And
that's not hard to get. That's not hard to fix. And there'll be a couple people that might have 2 or 3 addresses to ship them to. But nobody's going to stock up on 40 of them.
Well, and I heard that. Okay, so first of all, everybody's an armchair expert when these things occur.
Of course.
I was told by the armchair experts that this is all legal, what Peloton is doing, because they didn't put it on their website saying we're gonna honor this pricing. But now I've got attorneys contacting me telling me, it's not legal. It is not okay. And it's going to be a major problem. So again, I say, logically speaking, what the hell are you doing? Now you have another lawsuit you're going to be looking at because everyone's going to be so mad at you. I don't understand.
The last couple times they raised the price. It wasn't like this, was it? Where it was like immediate. Like
it was announced we're raising the price. Then they did, but it wasn't like we're raising the price. You go look, it's already done. It was like we're raising the price this week, or we're raising the price next week. It was a little bit of time.
I was when I saw the article, and I just made the assumption that that must be next month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I did the same.
I didn't even, and under I post the article, and then I start asking, yeah, I wonder when, and then someone posts right under that, John is like right now.
It's done. It's done. Kaput.
You know where my mind was going? I was like, oh, maybe I should hurry up and go over here and buy this thing right quick.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to return to Tread Plus.
Too late.
Too late. Think about it. No.
And maybe they're doing this because, like, honestly, I don't even care that they're raising the prices. Like, so,
yeah, I mean, raising the price, it's their product. It's their right to raise the price.
Absolutely. It's not the issue.
Yeah, not at all. But when you're telling people we're going to honor this price for you, and then
you rescind on that.
Yeah, like that's
the part that's not cool.
The height of douchebaggery.
And I got to tell you, I've heard from so many people saying, oh, they were never about the customer. That's just what John Foley said. Yada, yada, yada. It's all about the shares. Well, I have two things to say that. One, I don't believe that's true. I genuinely believe that the reason that John Foley made as many mistakes as he did is because he led from the heart. So I do think that he cared about the people. And two, if that's true, they're failing based on the stock price. So explain to me yet again where the logic is here.
It's like a couple things in here that I'm still trying to piece together. Like, why would you do that? The one is the immediate price increase, which, like you said, is new. That's not how it was done before. And then that second part that we've been talking about, which is, okay, we're gonna honor, but never mind, we changed our mind. People have them in their carts, and other people are been promised by store, staff. Both of those things must tie and mean something. And I know we're kind of coming to the conclusion, but maybe they must be that hard up for money. I don't know if that's what it is, but whatever it is, it's some screwed up stuff. I don't know what is causing that.
Here's what I picture. I picture Barry at his desk, and he has issued an edict. We're raising the prices, effective immediately. And then he started seeing all of these exceptions, and he was like, I said no. I said we are raising the price, and I mean raising the price right now. Stop it. That's what I think happened. Legit. I really do. Somebody prove me wrong, but that is what I think.
Someone in my group was like, you know how Barry's been talking all along about, we're getting out, we don't need to be in the hardware businesses. Let's focus on content, and let's focus on subs. And I don't remember who it was, but they were like, well, maybe, they can be hard like this because they really don't care if you buy the hardware anymore. Uncle Barry's focusing on something else. And I mean, okay, maybe, but
if that's your,
why would you piss a bunch of people off?
Well, and if that's your,
where I can go.
If that's your plan, like at least if your plan is to make Peloton available on all bikes and treads, and you don't care about selling hardware, you need to get the inventory out. Get your plan and push that out on those other platforms, because until you've done that, what are you accomplishing?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And if you don't care about it, then you would think you would discount the inventory and just get rid of it.
Right. You wouldn't care about the price. You would have kept it's lower. All right.
Because now it's taken up all this room and all these places, which costs money. Right. So get rid of it then. Get rid of it. I'm telling you, it doesn't make any sense. I feel like there's something
all bizarre.
It is.
If you also align it to you're a week and a half away from the earnings call, like is there a tie to this?
Right.
This is tied to something we're about to hear. That's where my mind starts going too.
Because
it seems kind of out of character, a little weird, a little
I can't figure out how, but I can't figure out how. But Tom and I have been kind of like batting around. I don't know if you've heard us talk about this, John, but we have this theory that potentially there's some kind of partnership between Peloton and Toole coming. And if that were true, do you think that somehow this would make sense? Because maybe they need to get lean because Toole just had to make a bunch of changes. Like, do you think there's some kind of agreement in place, whether it's Toole or it's somebody else? Like, there's something happening in the background that's outside pressure that's like, you have to do these certain things before we move forward.
There's some.
Here's a crazy theory. What if again, all conjecture, right?
Sean's gonna get underneath his desk.
All conjecture, nothing to base this on, just throwing ideas. What if part of the deal is each side gets a cut of the hardware sales, and part of how they're hedging against that is by raising the price.
That's interesting.
Well, the concept of there's some legal or some contractual reason why that would at least
explain some things.
Explain it and give and kind of soften my heart around it, I guess, if there was something like that. Because otherwise it does seem a little out of character.
At the end of the day, if you tell a customer it's going to be X, Y, and Z, then you need to honor that.
Right?
That's just common decency.
Yeah. And if they don't have common decency anymore, what does that say about the future of the company? Regardless of how they do financially, regardless of the excellent content we see, what does that mean for the long-term viability of the company? Does it mean anything? Do people even care anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, us diehards, we care, but does anybody else?
I think most people, when they turn on my water faucet, I want water to come out. I don't really care what the water company did to get me the water.
And I think that's the majority of people.
And I do think most people is like, well, I flipped the switch and Cody Rigsby talked to me, so I guess it's still working.
Right.
You know? And that's the beginning and end of most people's relationship with their Peloton device.
I mean, a lot of us had a very intimate, passionate kind of a relationship with Peloton. So, of course, it kind of hits a little different.
Right.
But I agree with that perspective. I don't know that it's any different than any other corporation in their relationship with their customers. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so I guess moving on from that scandal to the next piece of bad news is that
because this is all related.
It's all confabulated.
I love this title. This is the best title I've seen this week.
So this is from Bloomberg. Peloton's new strategy is spinning all over the place, and this is kind of an overview of everything that happened this week. But there was also announced that. Where is the article I'm looking for?
This one.
Well, I was looking for just more layoffs and.
Well, the one you were on had layoffs in it.
Oh, did it? Mm-hmm. Sorry.
It lays off staff and closes stores.
There we go. Sorry. My Zoom window was over.
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
So more layoffs and store closures are coming.
Yeah, so we've got 780 people being laid off, most of which are in the last mile. Last mile is completely going away. So you're going to see all XPO. But now, subsequent to that, also, you can put it together yourself.
Potentially.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And they're going to be closing stores. So that means, in my head, we're also going to see additional layoffs because those stores have not closed yet. So 780 today, who knows how many tomorrow. And we have no idea which stores those are going to be. So support your store. #support your store.
And we don't even have any insight as to how many, what percentage they're looking to
get rid of.
Close down. So
that was very vague. They just said many showrooms. What does that mean? Yeah,
right? Barry's got a lot of questions, not a lot of answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's tough. But I can kind of get that, you're struggling to try to figure out how to get to a path towards profitability, and you're just so bloated now based on, the demand for what you offer that you got to do something. So it's upsetting. It was upsetting how these layoffs occurred.
Yes.
Hearing some of the stories of the people.
They logged on and found out that they were locked out.
That's how they found out.
Hashtag together we lost our jobs. Together we got laid off. That was the hashtag that was going.
I didn't know that. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. You know what I found really interesting? I'd go on LinkedIn and a lot of these people, I'm sure there were others, but I'd see a lot of people out there. They were really kind about the idea that, okay, well, I just found out I lost my job. I couldn't log in, and I called my manager, and I got laid off. Well, it was a good experience. They were more positive than I think I would have been. That seemed
I think some of it is age, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young people young compared to me, that work in these areas, and so I feel like that it's just kind of expected with a startup. There's more of a sometimes you win, sometimes you lose,
Gotcha.
Acceptance.
Yeah.
I don't mean that they deserve that. I don't mean to belittle that, or make light of it.
Right.
I just think that they're more accepting than we would be in our generation because it's just different. We have different expectations.
Right. But the idea that they got to shut down some showrooms, I mean, that makes sense. The idea that they're now going to all third party and, that all adds up. We heard Uncle Barry say that. We kind of know all those things. So, it's upsetting. It's kind of sad. These people lost their jobs and all, but I guess I could align it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But the thought now that you're now going to have less showrooms, my mind then went to, well, where are these people going to go and try before they buy? Is that just kind of a lost kind of thing now?
I think it's going to be per market. So
yeah.
I picture places like, I'm going to pick on Chicago, for example, only because we've been there and we only have one in St. Louis, so I can't pick on St. Louis. But like Chicago has like 4. And maybe they might reduce, my head, this is how it's going to work. They might reduce that, not get rid of all 4, but maybe it'll only be 2. Maybe it will even only be 1. But they're not going to lose their presence altogether. It's just going to be more spread out. So
yeah, I think in stores where there are multiple markets, that seems pretty easy to decision to make to pare down. I think it will be a little bit more difficult maybe in a market like St. Louis, where we're not the biggest city in the world and we're not the trendiest city in the world. And I also wonder, some of the thought process is, look, there are enough Pelotons out there now that if you really want to try one, you probably know someone who has one.
But the rower's coming, and we know the rower's coming. We know that it's coming in September. So here's what I am worried about. This is me personally. Given how they've been handling all of this so far, I see that this is how I picture this is going to go. They're going to have all of these stores open through the Christmas season. They're going to be banging out these rower sales. And then in January, it's going to be a giant axe. And all those people are going to lose their jobs suddenly, thinking we just had the best year ever. And then boom, they're gone. That's what I think is going to happen.
Well, I will say the upside to that, if that ends up being true, is at least they get to try to sell the new product and make the commissions off those sales through the end of the year. But yeah, it makes me think that Peloton will move towards more of a pop-up model, or maybe even strike some sort of partnership with another retailer like Toole has with Nordstrom's, to where it's like, oh, you can go to Best Buy and try a rower and a little piece of real estate inside their stores.
Well, I would love to see Nordstrom, not so much Best Buy. It gives me Echelon vibes. Sorry, John.
Did you see also I don't know if the Bloomberg article or one of the 2 articles where Uncle Barry was interviewed, that he said he's hopeful that the rower will be available by the holiday season. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Like, is that just like to throw us off the trail?
I think so.
I
do. Just because I've heard too many things. And I mean, now they're doing field testing right now. Yeah. So like, let me just say, anything could change when you start field testing, and you know that, John, because you're in technology. So if something like shits the bed unexpectedly, then I change my opinion. But everything I'm hearing, and I have heard some good stuff, is that people have been testing for like 3 weeks and it's going very well. Okay. So Tom, should I give a little Peloton profit lowdown on the rower while we're in here?
Might as well.
Oh, snap.
Okay. So I heard that there is in fact form feedback on the rower. It does actually look at your form and tell you whether or not you're rowing correctly, which is very important on a rower. People usually get the form wrong when they first start. And then the other thing is, which I found fascinating, remember how I have been saying since the beginning, I thought that there was like the foot on the bottom of the rower and it's going to stand up to store it? Turns out, yes, that is true. But get this, it has like this arm that like where you row it, it like turns in and stores itself automatically. What?
Oh, okay. All right.
I know. I'm hearing nothing but amazing details on this. Like, it's so good. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I can't wait till it drops. If I'm looking for a product that, and this is probably just wishful thinking and something that we just may not ever see again, but I'm looking for a product to drop that truly has some level of innovation that makes people go, you know what? that's different than these other pieces in this space. And yeah, I probably would rather get that piece of hardware because there's some innovation relative to. Like, I'm looking for that. So hopefully, I'm hopeful that really is the case.
That was me crossing my fingers in case anyone couldn't see. That might have looked like I was flipping somebody off. They weren't looking close. But I agree with you.
So we should probably touch on real quick. We mentioned it briefly, but just the idea that like they are trying to figure out a way to redesign the bike so people can set it up at home and they won't even need delivery.
Oh my God. This is getting so much traction online.
Hot take. What? Good idea.
I agree, honestly. I really do.
I think so.
I mean, if I can put it together, I really feel like anybody can.
And people are losing their and I think they're losing their because they're envisioning getting the bike that they have now. And they say flat out, redesigning the bike. And so they're gonna make it to where presumably you plug in the monitor and it automatically attaches to the other cables in there and it locks into place and you're good to go. Like it's and they want to lower their delivery costs. This would do that,
and it would take XPO out of the picture, which I think is great, or at least reduce their part in it.
Right.
Now, I will say I have heard like Susie Barris wrote, and she said, "Okay, but what about small people like myself? She cannot lift a 150-pound box." That's fair. So I do think that needs to be addressed. I'm hoping that they're still going to have the availability for you to still contact somebody, pay extra, and have them like really set it up, or at least bring it to the room where you need to put it together and take it out of the box.
And then you take over.
Yeah. I mean, because there are people that are going to be just like Susie. They cannot lift it. They cannot move it on their own. I mean, if I had to move, remember time when we moved that Bike Plus, and like there's no way I could have pulled that up the stairs by myself. Room to room, I could do. But if I had to lift it up the stairs, nope, not happening.
No,
not happening.
If you want to move your Peloton bike, you have to first get a tonal.
Oh, I can't hear you.
John, you're
out.
Oh, I'm
there
sorry.
You are.
I hit a button on accident. My bad.
What were you saying?
I was loving what you were saying, that, that you got to actually train on a tonal first before you can lift that thing upstairs. That you're right. I agree with that. I think they're going to I like the idea of them packing this thing into a box, but I get the Susie Barris thing that, you get this box that weighs 150 pounds.
But my guess is you wouldn't get a box that weighs 150 pounds. You'd get 3 boxes that weigh 50 pounds.
I don't know. The frame the frame's still going to have to be put together, and that is heavy.
That is heavy, but my larger point is they're not going to send you one giant thing that's not assembling, right? That.
Right.
So they can break it up into other boxes and you can get them into place and then set it up. And look, people love their artist series with all the Peloton classes, right? So think about how excited people are going to get about Peloton's new artist collaboration with Lego.
Oh my God.
People love their Legos.
I knew you were going somewhere. I didn't know where we were going.
I didn't know where. But
I love it, Tom.
The new slogan is everything is awesome. Seriously, why haven't I been hired? I'm just saying.
They can't afford you.
That's true.
Yeah, they can't. I don't think they can.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
I was wondering because I was talking to a person I know. They have an echelon, and I'm like, okay, well, how did you get the echelon? And they describe it in this one box. Everything kind of mashed
it's
in there.
It's dehydrated, right? You just add water and it
That's
grows.
Right. You sprinkle it with your hose. But they talked about how it's all packed in there. But it's just one big heavy box.
Right.
So that's why my mind kept thinking, are they trying to go with that, in that same kind of, line, in that the smaller the item is, the more condensed it is, the cheaper it is to ship. They're trying to save money, so they're just going to get everything kind of tightly packed in there, organized but tightly packed in there, so it's as small as it could possibly be?
I think they will.
I think they will.
I think they're just going to have the screen is going to be separate, and then the pedals will be separate, but everything else is
your
fine.
idea that it's like, oh, well, if you want the old way, okay, but it's $400 or whatever. You know, like like you can still do it, or you can do this version that's cheaper, but you got to assemble it yourself, but it's plug and play, and it won't, and so I don't think it's a bad idea. Like, I really don't.
I really don't either.
If it's done, if done properly, I don't think it's a bad idea. That's a big if.
Do you think, though, that this idea that, we got to get back to this, aspirational brand?
See, we're
going to send this thing to you via FedEx.
Yeah. Now, see, you can't do both of those at the same time. So
I think the plan is they're gonna sell you the bike and say the XPO is going to deliver it and set it up, and then after you buy it, they're going to tell you, we're just kidding, you got to set it up yourself.
Oh, you don't like XPO?
They're like, no, they're like, hey, it works so well with the pricing. We're now rolling that out to other
Honestly, like, all joking aside, like, okay, they say now that the delivery is back in the price. So, like, when you look at that $800 price increase for the tread, it's decreased a little bit by the delivery, right? Well, then if they just start delivering these, you have to put them together yourself.
Right.
But then they don't decrease the price what I think is going to happen. Right. So, like, they won't. They're just like, shh, don't think about that. That's what I'm seeing.
But the thing is in most cases, those people making
maybe they won't notice.
In most cases, the people making those purchases are going to be new customers. They don't know what came before.
Yeah, absolutely. And while I say that the bike is easy to put together, the tread, on the other hand, no. Yeah. That scares the out of me.
Yeah.
This would explain why we think they're partnering with Tonal. Like, you want to buy a tread? We got to put it together yourself. So first, you need to buy the Tonal. Like, that's.
We get the Tonal, train on it for 6 months, come back, get the tread. You can put it together. You can handle it.
You have to start with the Tonal.
Yes.
Right. You can't even buy that until you do.
Right.
You can just put it in your cart and hope the price doesn't go up till then. Right.
So, and then finally, we should touch on this real quick. Just the idea that they might be pushing their content out to other pieces of equipment.
Yeah, and I was surprised. I was surprised that this is even another new story because we've talked about this before. Barry's mentioned this before. This is not, in my opinion, not new information. So I was surprised it got picked up everywhere.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing to me about it was that he also says in there that an option for freemium, like so like they'll be putting the thought that they're going to allow their content to be on other devices, and you don't have a subscription, and so there'll be specific content that Peloton's producing that these folks can take on these other devices without paying Peloton anything. So that was the interesting part to me. I guess another way to entice people into, well, maybe you do want to get into a subscription, and then maybe you want to get into one of our hardware.
Like maybe they won't put the programs out there, but there'll be like a certain number of classes and things like that. Like maybe they don't get Power Zone training, but they get, I don't know, a certain number of classes that are available. And maybe they're only 20-minute classes and not the 45-minute classes or something like that.
It's the drug dealer model. The first taste is free.
It's very effective.
Something like that. But yeah, that's where something like that. Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. But I know, like you said, they've been saying this, Uncle Barry's been saying this since he got here. So I'm waiting for an actual kind of peek into where this is. Like, where are we talking about?
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't know what do you mean by on other pieces of hardware on other bikes?
It will be interesting to see which other platforms are willing to accept their content because if I'm Nautilus, I would think, well, but are people going to use this? And then when it's time to replace their piece of equipment, go, well, I really enjoy those Peloton classes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of letting the camel's nose under the tent.
That's where I'm at. Like, that's where I'm struggling with it. Like, why would they? I'm not.
No, I agree. But I guess if you, I don't know. I don't see a Nautilus doing it. I don't know, man. I could make arguments about the different companies that might be willing to do that. Like on the one hand, I see like SoulCycle being an obvious one because they cannot seem to keep up with anything. So like they seem obvious because they don't have the ability to do the content at home and like keep it pumping, on a regular basis. So that seems like a good one. But then on the other hand, I'm like, I don't know, like I could make an argument where it's like the Nautilus and the iFits and all that, like they would be good because that's never been their thing, creating content. So if they have content that gets added and then they can just keep focusing on creating good equipment, and then Peloton kind of keeps reducing their equipment footprint, everybody wins.
Yeah, I guess, that would work if Nautilus and the iFits of the world truly are trying to move in the opposite direction. Peloton's going towards content and they're going towards hardware. Like, I don't know. It confuses me. I'm not sure. That's what I'm waiting for. Like, Uncle Barry, where are you talking about?
Right.
Like,
who's going to take it?
Where is this stuff going to be at?
Yeah. Well, there's probably deals happening. And see, that could be like, maybe it's not Tonal that they're out there talking about, but like we were talking a while back, 30 minutes ago, about like, could it be that there's some kind of legal agreements in place about this hardware cost and things like that? Maybe there's already stuff in progress that we just aren't privy to yet that's causing this. It's already happening. Maybe he's just giving us a little taste,
Could be. Maybe it all explains itself in another couple months. I don't know.
It would be interesting to see.
They've never been great about being transparent, so I'm a little skeptical that it will.
Well, but if they're putting these deals in place, at some point they have to tell people. Or
I just meant that it'll make sense on a level that I would like to see.
Yeah.
Like I would like there to be, I would like somebody to go A plus B equals C and retroactively. Retroactively,
That's
I'm like, that's why you wouldn't honor your commitment to people. Got it. Okay, I get it. You were backed in a corner. It all makes sense now. That's what I want, and I'm probably not going to get that.
I get the impression that if we come to that place, Crystal, and we're like, oh, that's why. Peloton's going to be like, that's why it was. Yeah.
Sure.
They're not going to know either.
Go with that. Yeah.
Let's go with that.
That sounds good. Just nobody answer any press calls. Just send them over to that podcast.
Right?
Well, I guess on that note, John, until next week, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook, my Facebook group, Run, Lift, and Live. They can find me on Instagram, Run, Lift, and Live. They can find me on the tickety-tock, Run, Lift, and Live, or they can find me at runliftandlive.com.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
And hopefully next week you will have your shark shirt.
That's right. And I'll be shaved and my hairline won't look all jacked up,
I don't know. It might be worse, though, because we'll be talking after the earnings call. So who the heck knows how that's going to go?
Oh, snap. You're right. It might be a whole
We'll all be pulling our hair out.
Right. It's going to be bad. So, John, get an extra shirt, put it next to your equipment so you're ready to go.
I'll be ready next week. Oh, man. Next week's going to be crazy.
Crazy.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be nuts. All right. I'll be ready.
Okay.
You just made yourself a parody of yourself. That was amazing.
Right there. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Getting the Psychological Edge with Dr. Jenn.
Joining us once again via the magic of a Zoom tube is Dr. Jin Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. She was a 5-year national team member in rhythmic gymnastics and sports psychology for USA Gymnastics. It's Dr. Jenn. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay, I have a tough question for you today. This comes from Joe Vogely.
2 trains leave. No.
It kind of is like that, okay? Because this person, they're. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's really long, but they are struggling with how to get their bike fit correctly. Their shoes, they go numb. They've tried dialing in where their seat is, where the handlebars are. They've watched the videos. They've gone to a showroom, and their question is, is this just all in their head because they feel like their body is shaped a little differently, or is there something else that they could be doing to kind of do they need to just get through the pain, or do they need to truly find a fit that works for them?
That's a really interesting question,
right?
A very unique question. First of all, I would say first, you get a physical. And I would talk to your doctor if you're having numbness anywhere, if you're having tingling anywhere, that you want to make sure that you don't have a circulation issue, that the bike is just bringing this out for you, or any other medical issue where there's something present and the bike is just the catalyst to kind of highlight something that's already going on in your body. So you got to first rule that out. Then the next thing I would do is, and I know that this is kind of like a difficult to ask, is I would try to get in touch with an exercise kinesiologist, because those are people who specifically work with kind of the physicality and the muscles and everything, and kind of how you do exercise. So I would try to get a virtual appointment with an exercise kinesiologist to see what you may be doing wrong that is kind of knocking your body out of line or cause you to press on some nerve if you're having tingling. I also experiment with kind of cushions on the bike. I'd also experiment with getting out of the saddle. You know, I spend most of my classes out of the saddle just because it's easier on my back. It's kind of easier on a lot of parts of my body, and that kind of works better for me. But I think you've got to kind of find your sweet spot. When you're having symptoms that are that tangible and real, I would be really hesitant to say something is psychosomatic. I think there's something going on, and your job now is really just to kind of hunt it down to figure out what that is.
Okay. That's very helpful. Thank you.
So zooming out, just in more general terms, is there kind of shortcuts or good A/B tests to kind of figure out what's psychosomatic and what's, quote unquote real? I hate to say real because psychosomatic is real.
Yeah, it's real to the person, no matter what. Yeah.
But just in general with a broad brush.
Look, I think it's a great question. And you always want to rule out everything with your doctor. I don't care what your friends say, what your spouse says, unless they're a medical doctor that has examined you, you always want to go to the expert, and have that person tell you. And, sometimes you may have to go to more than one person. I heard all too many stories of doctors not taking a symptom seriously by someone because they're younger than one would expect in having that problem, or they don't look the way the doctor expects for someone who normally has that problem to look. So I think it's really important to really follow your gut feeling. If something feels legit, like you follow. I have a friend who in her 30s had a mole on her arm. And she went to the doctor, and, slightly askew from psychosomatic, but she looked and she said, like, I have a bad feeling about this. And the doctor was like, you're, 30 years old. I've looked at moles for 50 years. That's not cancerous. And she said, I appreciate that, but I want you to biopsy. I have a bad feeling. And the doctor was like, you know what? I knew your father when he was alive. Her father was a doctor. Just because you're so-and-so's daughter, I'll do it. Sure enough, it was like stage 4.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah. And thank God she had been insistent and listened to her gut and been assertive. And to me, it's just the perfect example. Like, if you have a gut and your doctor's not listening to you, go to another doctor, insist they do, or insist that doctor do whatever test you feel is right. Listen to your gut. I'm a big believer, both in what I do as a therapist and with medical doctors, that you got to listen to the patient. The patient's gut instinct is very telling, and it's an important lead. If you find that you are having chronic pain, chronic something that is bothering you, you've ruled it, you've gone to all the professionals, you've really ruled it out, then it's time to go to a therapist and explore it with a therapist. And a lot of the time when a pain or an issue is psychosomatic, there's usually some level of symbolism in it. For example, I had a client who, in the midst of her divorce, was getting neck pain. Well, her husband was a pain in the neck. It was like very literal psychosomatic pain. And I'm not saying that her neck wasn't hurting legitimately, but I do think that the stress of it came out in her neck because it was very symbolic of what a pain in the neck he was. So I think that we have to really look at kind of connecting the dots to what is psychosomatic or an expression of the stress we're going out in our physical bodies.
Fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, my neck's been hurting. Tom, I'm worried.
Well, Well, I've been peeing a lot, so I guess you pissed me off.
Or maybe your prostate's a little enlarged.
Oh, we've already gone down that road.
Yeah.
I'm always looking out for my girl, Crystal.
That makes two of us. So, well, thank you so much for all that. Until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me on social media at Dr. Jin Mann, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the works. I post all of my workouts on Insta stories, and you can find me InStyle magazine, Hump Day with Dr. Jen.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Instructors in the news.
So Cody Rigsby is celebrating 8 years at Peloton.
8 years. How incredible. I loved watching this video because there were so many moments I remember. Like, it's like just to see it all like in this flash of a video. Look at Dennis Morton's hair so long there. Oh, it's crazy.
The women love the long hair.
Before the hair gate.
And some of the men, to be fair.
That is also true. Yeah. So congrats to Cody. This is awesome.
Absolutely. And while we're speaking of Cody, he was also on the podcast Conversations with Olivia Jade.
Now, do you remember that on Dancing with the Stars, Olivia Jade was on Dancing with the Stars at the same time? So
okay.
I can't help but think that is how these two ended up on a podcast together.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I just thought I would put those pieces together.
Yeah, no, totally. I recognize the name, but like I didn't care about Dancing with the Stars.
I get that.
Yeah. So, and then I guess Cody is re-upped with his publicist or something because he is also featured in InStyle magazine.
Okay, but this is the best title that I've ever seen somebody do for Cody.
Yeah.
Like Peloton's Cody Rigsby says self-care is a balance between being wholesome and wholesome.
Oh, so he's a gardener.
Yes. Oh. Yes, that's exactly right.
It's unusual to find a gardener in New York City. Mm-hmm. There's just not a lot of green space, and so you don't typically see that.
Well, today you do.
But they spelt it wrong.
Yeah. And he also gives skincare tips, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think they spelled it wrong.
No, a hoe like that should be H-O. H-O-E is the garden tool, right?
I know. I think they were trying not to get in trouble for using.
Oh, it's the internet. Who's going to get you in trouble?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's some millennial who doesn't know the difference.
Yeah, that's true. They're called sex workers.
And you know what? I got to stop saying millennial. What is the newest generation? Because they're even younger.
Z.
They're in the workplace now, right?
Yeah.
It's probably a Gen Zer.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You're so old, you don't even know what comes after millennial.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm really feeling my age these days.
Jess King was the keynote speaker at U.S. Cellular's Inclusion Summit.
Yes, they are focused on building an inclusive and supportive environment, and so is she. And so she was there showing off her baby bump.
Yeah.
And there were lots of pictures she shared, and like it was a whole event where they had like it was up in front of cameras and it was in front of a whole group of people. So congrats to Jess. That's cool.
PopSugar, spotlighted, spotlit, spotted light. I don't know how you conjugate that word. Logan Aldridge.
Yeah, they talked about how can't isn't in his vocabulary. Which
then how can he tell people it's not in his vocabulary? He'd just be like, "There's this word and it means like not gonna do it, but I can't. That's it." Yeah,
he does more with one arm than either of us could do with two arms.
Well, when you're counting me.
I mean,
that's not,
I counted myself too.
Yeah, I'm just saying that like I don't really bring much to the equation.
That's why I said both of us. But I mean, seriously, I think it's a great title for him.
Absolutely.
He's really incredible and inspirational, and he's been getting a lot of traction. I think this is kind of one of those things where you really see Peloton making a smart hire for an instructor. Not only is he wonderful for Peloton because he's so focused on adaptive fitness, and that's great, but also I think he already had his own following and he already had a lot of like oomph behind him from a press standpoint. So he's bringing a lot to the table.
Absolutely.
I had to share this.
Sure. Kendall, Toole, and Callie Gullickson. Kendall, known for her metal rides, even I know that, has discovered her countryside.
Well, and to be fair, she likes country, but Callie doesn't usually include country at all.
Yeah.
And so they went to go see Dan and Shay at, actually, they went to go see Kenny Chesney because they are talking about Dan and Shay in this, like, all over the place. But this is Kenny Chesney's big summer concert. He does. I'm very country, so I know this.
Yes.
No shirt tour that he does every year, or whatever it's called. And so Dan and Shay were one of the openers. But man, how did she get those tickets?
Because she's a Peloton instructor?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I mean, look how close they are.
They are very close.
Yeah. I'm a little jealous. I would like to be that close to Kenny Chesney.
Well, we could have been, but we opted to sit in a suite instead. So, like...
Yeah, but I would like to come and go as I please.
Right,
so.
which is why we got the suite. And I would like to sit in the air conditioner if you're going to subject me to Kenny Chesney.
That's true.
I don't dislike country music. Kenny Chesney does nothing for me.
Oh, I love Kenny Chesney.
Old Dominion I like.
Old Dominion I like too.
Yeah.
I actually like Old Dominion more than I like Dan and Shay. So
yeah, I would agree with that.
Kenny Chesney has some really good songs.
He's got a couple songs I like, but overall, like the warmed over Jimmy Buffett thing. I don't really like Jimmy Buffett. So,
I know. Who you'd
which
be
I know
today.
people are freaking out right now because the people that love him, but Jimmy Buffett is like, no thank you.
Some people are just like overdone. But I love his song, Kenny Chesney's song, Who I'd Be Today, or Who You'd Be Today. I love that song.
Gotcha.
Anyway,
Chelsea Jackson Roberts was on NBCLX.
Sure. There are too many. I can't tell what she was on. There's NECN.
Yeah.
There's like the peacock symbol. There's I don't know.
It's very confusing.
It is.
I had to go to the Wikipedia entry for NBCLX to try to figure out what it was.
Yeah. It got broadcasted a lot of places though, which is excellent for Chelsea.
Sure.
And she talked about how to like be a positive influence, how to be okay with body image, and like she talks about how she started with yoga and that yoga actually helped her with her body image. And so it was a very interesting conversation. So if you haven't got a chance to check it out, regardless of the confusing call sign, I definitely think you should listen.
And if you're trying to figure out where to find it, you can get the link if you sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com.
Just get the newsletter. It'll be so much easier.
Jess Sims and Kirsten Ferguson made a joint appearance on the Alley on the Run podcast.
Yeah, they talked about their friendship, and it's funny because so many people have been posting this like everywhere. I've seen this is probably the most posted Alley on the Run episode I've ever seen. So people are super, super excited. But these two are known as something in Rona. It's not like Rosie, but it's like something in Rona. I know people are out there yelling at me because I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember the name of my own kids sometimes, so don't take that personally. But at any rate, I love this, and I love Allie from Alley on the Run, so make sure you listen.
Also, it's Sydney.
Thank you.
No problem.
I was like, wait, what?
I'm here to help. See? She wasn't joking.
I wasn't joking.
Yeah. And Tunde was featured in Women's Health magazine.
Yeah, they talked about her 70-pound weight loss when she was younger, like a teenager.
Right.
And she talked about how she got a new sense of purpose and just kind of her whole journey of going from a person who never was involved in sports to becoming Tunde. That everybody says #goals when they look at her arms. So that's pretty incredible.
Absolutely. And Allie Love is going to be a celebrity judge at the New York City Wine and Food Festival.
Yeah, that takes place this fall, and it's presented by Capital One. I didn't know that they consider themselves the New York City's premier culinary event. I didn't know New York City had a premier culinary event, but I know they're a big food town. So.
It's New York City. They have a premier everything.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
It's the 15th year they're doing this. I have never heard of the rest of these people. Jenny Mullen, the Try Guys, Ben Soffer, and more joined the 15th annual festival lineup.
Well, and they got people from the Food Network, but we don't really watch food.
That.
Yeah,
we're definitely not foodies in this house.
Not at all.
I'm kind of hungry, though.
Peloton in the news.
The All for One Music Festival is upon us.
That it is. It's here.
PopSugar wrote an article about it.
I'm like so not excited about this.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's not a terrible lineup, but the way that it's structured is just so different than they've done it in the past. First of all, it falls on my birthday weekend. And it is really messing up my birthday workout. Second of all, they clumped together like the different artists. So let's say, for example, Wu-Tang Clan. They have most of their classes like all together on Saturday. And sometimes they even take place at the same time. Like if you wanted to do the Wu-Tang strength and the Wu-Tang cycling, you couldn't because they're at the same time. That might be a bad example. I'm just giving an example and not double check my numbers. And then like artists that I am really excited about are not paired with instructors that I'm really excited about. And so the whole thing just kind of comes off as like, I don't know what I want to do now.
Right.
And like, I think it's a neat concept, but for me, it just never works because they don't have any runs at any time that I want to do them live. And they don't have any cycling classes for artists that I'm excited about live. So I'm just like, Nah. Yeah.
Okay.
But they are sending out gifts. And I have no idea how they're deciding who gets these gifts.
Well, we never really know how they decide.
No, but
that,
this
right?
one's weird because it's on the front end.
Yeah.
Like this one, they're just randomly sending to people before. Because like sometimes I can be like, well, maybe if you took a certain number of classes or whatever. But like people are getting their gifts on the front end. So I'm like, what are they basing that on?
Maybe if they did an all-for-one ride or run last year?
Maybe.
I don't know.
No idea. You get some kind of like towel and a bracelet and like some cards or something. So.
Okay. Well,
Congrats.
watch your mailboxes, people.
It'll come in your email box first. So check spam.
Okay.
Don't contact customer service. We got bigger fish to fry.
Correct.
Got to figure out the prices in this tread first.
So Peloton is looking to sublet some of the space in their Plano location, which, I mean, makes sense, right? If you've laid off all these people and you have all this office space, then what?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's just sad because this was another area that they were looking to expand. So like last year they built this office. Maybe it was the year before. I might be getting my years mixed up.
It's been a while. I feel like we've been talking about the Plano facility
like
for
3
a
years.
while. Maybe even longer.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so they built that and that was exciting. But then they decided they were going to add on. And now not only are they not going to expand, but there's 100,000 square feet of office space that's going to be up for sublease. So yes, it is the right decision. It's the right call to make to go ahead and reduce that and to be using it to the best of your ability. But it's just sad.
Yeah.
It's just another like, ugh.
Yeah, it's another sign, but it's a natural byproduct. And if you have office space sitting there, you might as well try and turn it into a revenue stream. So ultimately, it's a smart decision.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's not even a canary in a coal mine because it's already something that we know is happening. So they're just trying to make lemonade. Also this week, it came out that if you are working from home for Peloton, you ain't anymore.
Yeah. Right? So I have to scroll down to remember exactly how they worded this because it was an interesting way to word it. But it was something like, you need to come back to work and we expect you to be in at least 3 days of a week. And here it is. Here's the quote. For those of you who don't want to return to the office, we respect your choice. We hope you choose to stay, but we understand not everyone will. Doesn't that just sound cold, man?
It does. And this seems to be the line from CEOs lately of just like, you've got to be in the office even if it is completely worthless.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's just, honestly, like, it's just that old school mentality of if you're not here, you must not be working.
Yep. You get an old guy in charge. This is what happens every time.
For sure. Tom Cortese was on a show called Inspired in 15, which is a podcast.
Yeah, and it's 15 minutes of him talking about Peloton, how it started, and what his place has been.
Yeah.
And I haven't gotten a chance to listen to it, but I am actually really curious because really haven't heard a lot from Cortese.
I was about to say, is this his first podcast appearance since the clip out?
I think it might be. And I know he was never a fan of the Peloton Profit.
No, he did not like the Peloton Profit.
So maybe that's why he decided not to go on any more podcasts.
Yes, he did
I don't
not
know.
like all the scoops that we scooped them on.
No, he was very clear.
Very. And finally, for this segment, golf.com has an article about how Peloton can help you improve your golf game.
Yeah. And so this was written by Edie Wessel.
Okay.
And she is part of the PGA. And so she talks about how all the different things that it's helped. So she said that it's helped a lot with her mental game, which I was surprised at. And I don't know if there were other aspects, like as far as strength and things like that she started doing. But she talked about like the consistency and the inspiration, and just like being able to train your mind in a different way and like focusing in a different way, because it's hard to maintain your focus whenever you're doing 18 holes of golf. I would not know, because I cannot golf to save my life.
Yes.
First of all, no interest. And second of all, I suck at it.
Yeah. I went golfing once, and that's when I found out that there's a maximum number of strokes per hole. I did not know that, but if there weren't a maximum number of strokes per hole, I'm pretty sure I would still be there.
Yeah, I've only ever done real golf that time that we went to Top Golf, which I know is not considered real golf.
Yeah.
But I mean, like it wasn't putt-putt.
Right.
That's what I mean. And turns out I cannot hit a golf ball to save my life.
Nor can I.
So, yeah. Nope, not doing that again.
Not our jam.
But I think it's cool that this was written. It's nice to see people from multiple places getting a benefit.
For sure.
The Clip Out.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube, it's Angelo from MetPro, here to answer all of your nutrition questions. Hello.
Hi.
Hey guys, great to see you again.
It's good to see you again too. And I believe we have a tricky question for you today. Now, this comes from Stacy, and Stacy kind of has a two-part thing here. I feel like she's vacillating between these two thoughts. One, being in menopause and having 2 autoimmune diseases means she has to do 3 times the work to lose 1 pound. Also, she struggles with consistency. She goes so hard and long and then stays true to a really good regimen, and then it blows up and it takes her a long time to get back on track. Help.
Yeah, Stacy, my heart goes out to you. Yeah, that's a challenging one. Menopause, and especially when you factor in that you're dealing with a few autoimmune. Know this, we have lots of clients that fall into that category. It is not the final word. It is not going to determine your outcome. Is it an additional hurdle and challenge? Absolutely. But it's not going to stop you from making progress. We see people progressing despite these type of things every day. You already know the answer, Stacy, because it was referenced in your question. It is going to be the consistency. So I get asked all the time, well, does this apply to me because I'm in menopause, or I have this hormonal scenario, or this, that, or the other thing? And we can read between the lines on that. And really the question is, should I be doing something different or a more specific because I have these unique scenarios? And of course, depending on your hormonal circumstance, autoimmune, that's, you need to talk with your doctor about that as far as those sort of specifics. But as far as the exercise, nutrition, and lifestyle piece that you're going to apply to that, it doesn't mean that because you have this scenario, all of a sudden avocado isn't good and instead you want to eat extra peanut butter. Or it doesn't mean necessarily that, exercise doesn't work for you. Simply what it means is the same as a general reference, the same good lifestyle advice that we would give any one of our clients is going to be even more important that you're consistent with it. So I'm a big believer in routine. Crystal knows this, Tom knows this. We have these conversations all the time. And I'll tell you, if you were a fly on the wall in one of my conversations or Crystal's with her clients, what you would hear is, yes, Johnny, good. I'm glad you lost 5 pounds. Did you follow your routine? Because at the end of the day, we as coaches, having done this a few times, have found that whatever happens in the next week or two is less relevant than whether or not you're able to establish a sustainable routine. If you can establish a sustainable routine, I can predict a long-term outcome for you. If you don't have a sustainable routine, circumstances may adjust your body weight. You may lose 10 pounds, you may gain 10 pounds, but there is nothing that is suggestive that if we fast forward 6 months, a year, 2 years, you're going to be in an improved state. So routine truly is the key. And it starts with simple meal planning where you can be consistent. Don't bite off more than you can chew. No pun intended. Start simple. I'm a big believer in clean snacks, particularly afternoon snack, because we go the longest consecutive amount of hours on average between lunch and dinner. So just prep an afternoon snack. And I really, Stacey, want to encourage you to participate in daily or near daily exercise, even if it means it's a very short workout session or exercise session. And the reason is because a lot of people will work out and work out hard, but they don't have a set time. It's not part of their daily routine. And I'm fine with daily being like a Monday through Friday or whatever works for your schedule. But most days of the week, having it part of your ongoing lifestyle, even if it's 5 minutes, because it's something that once it's in your daily routine, you can anchor to it and add and build on it slowly over time. Until it's a habit, there's nothing to build on. And so I'm going to say consistency over intensity at first. Once you've made it a routine and a habit, once you have good habits around your nutrition and food culture, it's going to be a beautiful thing. You're going to find it's easier to parlay that into a consistent and ongoing versus where most of us find ourselves, which is a burst of I'm dialed in, followed by a month or two of, I've fallen off track. And Stacey, feel free to reach out to us, to talk about what more specifics could look like for you based on goals, because that's what people need to take into consideration. A lot of people ask, well, what should I do? And we joke on, on this episode, these pieces we do a lot. The answer is always, well, it depends. Because we have to factor in what are you used to? What is your goal? And based on those two things, we're going to be able to take a very honest look at what our actual levers are based on what you're currently used to and what our goals are. And then when we figure out what levers that leaves us with, that's what's going to help us get ultra specific in this step, that step, and the other step. The pieces that are going to be universal, no matter what we determine your levers would be, Stacey, are going to be a consistent routine, as close to daily exercise as possible, even if it's modest to start with, and a routine of food prepping, some simple snacks. Those are going to be at the core of it. And you'll do great, Stacey. Stick with it. You will make progress.
It's like the Grand Canyon. It's not one drop of water. It was consistent drops of water. And then you two can be a giant hole in the ground. Wait, somewhere I lost the thread on that metaphor.
Somewhere.
Tom should be a motivational speaker.
He should.
But it's a beautiful hole in the ground.
Oh, my God.
Look how many people travel just to look at that hole in the ground.
It's true.
So
there's your motivation, Stacey.
That hole in the ground got the last laugh. So, Angelo, on the outside chance that people want things like this tailored for them.
No chance after that,
yeah,
Tom.
He's like, I'm not saying the website anymore.
You can visit us at metpro.co/TCO. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
And don't worry, I'm not a MetPro coach.
Checking out the competition.
So if you feel bad about all the bad news that's been afflicting Peloton as of late, take some solace in the fact that they're not alone. SoulCycle is closing 20 stores across the nation and laying off 800 100 people.
Yeah, and you know what? I would feel bad for them, but they suck.
But they're dicks.
Yeah, they really are.
I'm really curious to know what happens if you traded in your Peloton for those 47 free classes and then they close the store that you go to.
Well, I've seen other people post like the notification they got just in general, and it's like, oh, we're closing the store nearest you, but you can join us over at this other store. So my guess is that it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier. There's multiple locations.
Right.
And so they just kind of reroute you to another one.
Yeah.
Still.
But sometimes, I mean, you know, if you only have a few in a market, you could go from having a store 10 minutes from you to having a store 30 minutes from you.
Yeah, and that's why you need to get a Peloton.
That's a big deal. Yeah, I mean, that's why you get a Peloton, right? Is so you don't have all the commute time. So
absolutely. The biggest reason.
In case you missed it.
Boxing boot camps have a new schedule.
They do. I mean, there's a new schedule across the board because we talked about that last week. But now Selena is going to be teaching the live ones, and the first one kicks off on Tuesday, the 23rd. So she's really excited about it, and we should all show up and support her because she is awesome.
And if you want to complain about this live schedule change, I wouldn't recommend it because she boxes.
Now, she is pregnant. You got that going for you. It might slow her down a little bit.
But okay. But then even if you win, now you hit a pregnant chick.
Oh, you shouldn't hit her.
Well,
I just meant you could run. I just meant you could run.
Okay.
I didn't mean you should hit her.
I was talking about boxing.
I don't think you can. I don't think even pregnant, either of us could take her. So let's just not.
I know that I cannot.
Peloton birthdays.
So we have got 3 birthdays this week. 2 on August 20th. The first, Jill Foley. And the second, and more important, Clip Out Crystal, our very own. So
I forget every year that I share a birthday with Jill Foley until we do the segment. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, we have the same birthday. Well, thank you, Tom. And happy birthday to Jill.
Yes. And then also on August 24th, did I say the day? August 20th for the other 2. And then on August 24th is Aditi Shaw's birthday.
Happy birthday to Aditi. It is Leo season.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Carey Sokol, and this is not her first time in the Lion's Den, as it were. She was on the show a long time ago.
You know how long ago?
I do, because you just told me.
I know. I was saying it was that was supposed to be organic.
No, how long ago was
you
it?
were supposed to go with it.
Sorry, I'm going with it now. We'll fix all this in post.
No, we won't.
No, we never do.
October of 2018. Wow. Can you believe that?
I can, because I believe you.
And Carrie, it was episode 78. And we're in 200 something.
70 something.
So wow.
That's crazy. And it was not on Zoom, so it was not, I didn't have to like make sure I looked okay. I could just talk.
True.
That's true. That was back in the day when we didn't do video.
We were still using the Skype-a-phone.
That was how we recorded everything back then.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Before ZoomTube, we had a Skype-a-phone.
Now we're fancy.
Yeah.
Very fancy.
So, Carrie, the last time you were on, we also were talking about you were going through a journey where you were going to do a marathon in every state, and you were like nearing the end of your journey. And I say end because like I think you had like, I don't know, 18 to go, or you were under 20. I know that.
Definitely under 20 then. Actually, probably even less, because I know I was a year ahead of myself, and I was like ready to go, and then COVID happened. So I was happily more, closer to the end than I should have been, because I was trying to do it before my 50th. So I got one marathon in 2020, right in January, and then nothing. But I was close enough. So I must have been maybe like 10 left at when we spoke then. So
well, that was the number that was in my head, but I didn't think that could be right, because I was like, that just, I mean, but when you're talking about the end of something and you're starting with 50, it's a sliding scale.
So let me ask you this. A couple years back, there was some rumblings about making Puerto Rico a state. So what happens to it then? Are you just like, Puerto Rico can go F themselves, or would you be like, I gotta go to Puerto Rico now?
I think you even brought this up.
Did I?
I said I would do it, and I would go do it. Like if you added another state, like I'll go. I mean, think about it. I did the year at Boston, so I think I even mentioned that I had done the year of the bombings, and I didn't finish. I was like a mile out, and I had so many people saying it counts. I'm like, no, it doesn't. And I went back the next year, and I did it. And so no, anything that like pops up, I will feel like I have to go do it. I will.
Okay.
So you're a completist.
Yes.
You're a completist.
I am.
And speaking of completing, so like you, it's been, I can't believe it's been 4 years since we last had this conversation. But you were working on that. You finished it up this year. But the last one obviously was very different. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So after that one in 2020, which was in Nevada, I did Lake Mead, actually, which was a very beautiful, very small marathon. The Hoover Dam, actually, we're going to obviously talk about Howie, but that was one of his bucket list things. So we went to, it was basically like the Hoover Dam Marathon. It was at Lake Mead. So I went from that marathon, got in the car, and we right to the Hoover Dam, like that, like not showered, nothing. So that was marathon. I think that was like 40. Oh, that was 47 because I had bid 47. I was age 47. It was my 47th state. So I had that. That was a trifecta. And so then I had nothing that rest of that year. I was supposed to finish up in 2020. Luckily I had banked 2 years before I turned 50. And so then in 2021, I went and I did Iowa. That was my second to last one. I did Oklahoma. So I did Tulsa was 48 and Iowa was 49. And Iowa was fun because it was the last of the 50 states I'd ever visited, and same with Howie. So we were like, we've been in all 50 states all together, we finished it together. He didn't run a marathon in all 50, but he had stepped foot in all 50 states. And then the last one, which had been planned for 2020, was moved to 2021, which was Hawaii. I had planned that years in advance because my best friends live there. And where else? I mean, where else are you going to finish? You finish in Hawaii, Yeah.
That's a good place to finish.
That's quite the shift from Iowa.
Quite the shift.
I was trying to figure out, does this say anything about your opinion of these states as they trail off at the end? You're like, Oklahoma, Iowa.
Not at all. Not at all. And it's fun to kind of look the way my states turned out. I mean, there was like a pocket of the Northeast at first, and then there was like, it did happen in weird ways, the list of where, but no, it would just, honestly, Tom, it would go by where I could get to. I did a lot, like after a conference, I would like go, jets to somewhere. Like I'd always try to make it where I could get to, and depending on when they were offered, the dates.
Gotcha.
So yeah. So 2 weeks to the day before Hawaii, Howie passed away, which couldn't have been more crazy and devastating for every reason under the sun. But just to think about, like, are you, 2 weeks? This, like, basically the last thing I said he said to me, we were leaving upstate, and he was staying in upstate for another night. I was with my friend who was coming with us to Hawaii, and he looked at us and he goes to her, because he knew he wouldn't see her until, he goes, I'll see you in Hawaii, and it was like, that's like kind of one of the last things. And we talked the next morning. I spoke to him after that, but that was like the last when I saw him. And yeah, so, after he died, it was one of those questions, do I do it? Do I not do it? I had a lot of, everything. I mean, it was a blur. First of all, it was all a blur. Everything was a blur, but he'd want me to do it. He'd be like, girlfriend, get your butt to Hawaii and finish what you started. And I had the support of his sons who were like, we're coming, and everyone around me. And I just knew in my heart, A, he'd want me to do it, and B, sitting home on that day and not doing it would have been far worse.
Yeah.
I would have sat there in more agony and grief than finishing something that he was so proud of and I was so proud of. So it was, can I say effed up on your podcast?
Yes, you can.
Sure, you can even say fucked up.
Really, it was really fucked up the time. I mean, for so many million trillion reasons, but like that was just a really, it was a blur. That time was a blur. It was a complete blur. But I did it.
Yeah. I can't even imagine how, like, what was going through your head. I mean, 26 miles is not a short time. You're alone a lot in your head. I can't even imagine how you kept going. I mean, you must have the strongest brain on the planet to be able to do that.
I think just doing these marathons, I'm so, the rhythm of each, I always say, like, you break it down and you do an hour and then 2 hours and you break it down. That marathon was obviously unique. And I wrote this, I think, somewhere. I was running on emotional fumes at that point. I knew how to do a marathon. I knew I could do the physical part. I was really worried about the, like, am I going to freak out and break down? Right. I really didn't know I didn't know how I would react. I had so much support. I mean, you can't imagine, but it was just like coming at me from everywhere, the support for me to do this and to be there and to get through it. But That marathon it gives me chills just thinking about it. I've run a lot of marathons and I've got to run a lot alone. And I like running alone. I don't have any problem with it. But that one, it was like, he was there with me. He really was there with me. And Hawaii, which we had never been to together, is a very spiritual place. A lot of the run felt very spiritual, and being there was really, really beautiful. And then I don't know if you saw, his boys jumped in at the end and finished the last 50 yards with me. And that's when I'm like,
yeah.
I had other cries during the marathon, but that was definitely like, it was surreal. It was wild.
It was, I just remember being like, that is so touching that they both came to Hawaii still to be with you. I mean, in their own grief. And I'm sure it was probably a little cathartic for them too, they knew how important it was to him.
Yep. Yeah. And to be honest, we had invited them, and they had conflicts before Howie died. And I understood. I mean, it's hard, it's far, it's all this. And I'm like, and I'm also someone opposite of Howie. Like, I don't mind putting my head down and doing it and then telling people after. I don't need the fanfare. It was special that it was my last one, and I had been working towards it, and my parents were coming, and, I had friends there. So there was going to be enough support for me that I felt good enough. But when he passed, the boys are like, we're coming. And it was like immediate. And it gave me permission. It gave me them and him, and he would have been so happy they were there with me. And it was such a magical weekend. I mean, it was so we were so heartbroken, but we came together with my family and friends. And it was also so beautiful too. Like, it was just such a beautiful spiritual weekend together that really bonded, my relationship with them. It was really wonderful. It was really wonderful. But yeah, it was not to mention, as I'm flying there, we all had to laugh because I'm flying on the airplane, and we all have internet now. I don't know if I told you this, Crystal.
I don't remember this.
It was when Sex and the City dropped. So episode of Sex and the City dropped. I'm on the plane flying to Hawaii, and we all have service on planes now. It's not like I don't have internet. And people I'm with my daughter, and I'm with some people, and I'm getting texts like, don't look at anything. Like, it doesn't look at anything. Like,
but now you got to look at everything.
But I'm like, don't look at anything. And people are talking like, the whole storyline of the Sex and the City and the death of Mr. Big, and her name is Carrie, and it, on a Peloton. And I'm like, you just almost, I was so in grief, but I had to laugh. It was like, oh, are you kidding? Like, he would have laughed. He would have been like, really?
He would have laughed. He would have laughed.
So a lot of how I've dealt with it is like, he would have laughed. Like, there's certain parts of it that he would have been like, are you really? That's hilarious. Look at this. Like, there's a whole thing. But
he would have, I feel like he would have been like, man, can you believe they made this about me?
Yeah.
Like, elevated my whole past. Like, he would have thought it was hilarious. In fact, when I got there, because the boys met me, we didn't all fly together. We all had to be like, really? Like, it was just, you had to laugh. It wasn't.
You'd be like, I want a writer's credit.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have been like, and the timing was just bizarre. But
yeah.
And just real quick, we should say for some of the listeners that maybe don't know the full story, that Howie passed away basically the exact same way that Mr. Big did on Sex and the City. Spoilers, don't at me. And so for people,
time.
Yeah. So for people that maybe aren't familiar with the story or hadn't connected the dots, that that's what we're discussing. What we're talking about. So.
And to be honest, I haven't yet to watch that Sex and the City. I won't watch it.
I don't blame you.
I get that.
I'm not watching it. And also, we know that Peloton was part of it, but we don't know exactly with Howie. So we know it was, I don't want to have anyone walk away thinking they know exactly how it didn't happen like Mr. Big exactly.
Sure.
But Peloton was part of the part of it. But he was in a very happy place. He was in his happiest of places upstate. And he was in a really good place, which we were in a good place. So it's devastating. I mean, we're talking about this. We're 8.5 months from when he passed. And actually next week is our anniversary. So it's, dates come up and things are, tricky, but
fresh and hard and just, grief is just so weird. It's just so weird because you can't share it with other people. I mean, you can tell other people about it, but nobody can experience it exactly how you're experiencing it.
Right. And someone said to me, it's not linear. It's all over the place and it comes at different times. And sometimes I appear, I'm living my life because his saying was always like, you didn't die, you have to live. And so like, I hear that motto, like this summer, it was usually our time together. We would always take a big trip and we just really could focus. My kids would be away. And so my goal is to keep moving, to just keep moving and keep experiencing, because that's what he'd want, like just keep living. And so it doesn't mean, like you can post a happy picture, but the next minute you're like missing him desperately and crying. But, I'm not someone that really wants to show too much grief. It's just not my nature, but it's there. Oh, it's there.
I get that. It can feel performative.
It can.
It
always kind of weirds me out when people like post a selfie of themselves crying, for example. Like, I don't mean that they're not really feeling that emotion, but like if you had to pause the emotion to pick up the phone and take a picture of it, it's like, how is that then real? And so I think that when you do share any amount of grief, whether it's a little or a lot, it is hard. Everybody has a different level of what they're comfortable with, what they're comfortable viewing, what they're comfortable posting, and so it's just such a personal thing. It's just a really personal thing.
It is. And everyone's a little different with social media and how they want to, use it. It's because we're using it, right? I mean, let's be honest. And I think there was one post I did maybe at the beginning of the summer, which was really not like me. And I think it was a story. It was kind of like, I'm missing him so much. I had done a couple of those right when he passed, but that's all I could think about. But sure. There was one like the beginning of the summer and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I actually did that. Like, I don't typically do this. Like, I'm missing him something fierce today. And I just posted it. And I guess at that moment I needed a little like something back, but I did take a very sobbing picture of myself, and you'll laugh when. So I was not there for Jen's member ride. I was away, but all his people, all his men were there. All of my dear men, who I just, if anything has gotten me through, the support of those dudes have been huge. And so watching them, and when she did play the Who song, I freaking lost it.
I did too, Carrie. So I can't even imagine.
It was really important that those gentlemen were there for me. I feel like they've been there because that Peloton and Jenn brought them together, but they're bigger than that. They're friends, like so deep, and the love they had for Howie is just. And I say this to them all the time. They gave him his best friendships of his life, for the last 2 years before he died. He never had a crew like that. He never had just solid guys that just got him and loved him and could listen to his jokes over and over again. God bless them. And they were so wonderful. And so for me, and I said this to you, Crystal, I didn't have to be in the room. I didn't want it to be about me. I didn't want it to be about Howie. I wanted it to be about them and this, this beautiful friendship and support for Peloton, because Howie was the biggest Peloton fan, supporter out there. And but I was on the beach in Tel Aviv and I was sobbing, and I took a picture and I sent it to those guys. I'm like, I am sobbing, but I was so happy they were there and they had a great time.
Oh yeah. That ride was a bundle of emotions just for me. And I mean, obviously I'm not feeling anything like what you're feeling. So I just cannot imagine. How has that interaction been? I mean, you love Peloton, but Howie brought you to Peloton. How has that been for you?
That's such an interesting question. I mean, it took me a long time to get back on the bike. I run a lot with the app. So I run with the app all the time. And that's always felt very different because I don't have a tread, and has always felt different to me. It was hard. It was certainly hard. It took me a long time to get back on the bike. I'm over that part of it now. I think for a while, the community and Jen's community they were so devastated and supportive. And I have to say, what I get joy now, and I hope this resonates with people that ride with Jenn or have Godnick hashtag. It really touches me to see the Godnick hashtag. Like I can't believe it. And it would touch him so much that it's really fun when I take either a live class or, any kind of class and I see people with that hashtag. I don't typically only high five like the people I know, but I will make sure to high five them all. I feel like that's I just want them all to know, he'd be so touched. So that part really gets me. I mean, I struggled for sure at the beginning with, there was a lot of sadness. There was a lot of concern. I struggled with it because I felt, he was mine, he was mine. And I had to share him with a lot of people that I knew cared about him and knew that Jenn cared about him and his men cared about him. But it was hard. You don't want to share. We had a really deep, special thing. You
absolutely did. Like, it's obvious. You could see it a million miles away. He talked about it all the time. He posted about it all the time. I mean, you were the love of his life. It was very clear.
Thank you. I mean, so it was hard, and some people really like all of that. Everyone loved him. And Jenn loved, I just stop. This was my person. And at the end of the day, I needed to shut it out. And I closed off a lot of people. And I really kind of kept my circle very, very tight and only talked a certain amount that really respected that. And I know no one was doing anything wrong. Nobody was doing anything wrong. It was just my connection with him just felt so personal, and I needed to protect, this was my guy. Everyone's mourning someone, but this was my person. This was my everyday, a million times a day person. And so it was hard, but then, it eases up and, everyone's doing it out of love. And I mean, my dad was just telling me he ran into a friend of his, this really successful, this guy that's been around, whatever, successful guy, and they're talking about life and whatnot, and the guy's telling him, oh yeah, I ride my Peloton, this and that, and then he goes on to say, I think my dad said, who's your instructor, and he said Jenn, and the guy somehow mentions, or my dad said, did you ever hear of her mention Howie Godnick? And he goes, yeah, are you kidding me? Yes, yes, and then said that was who he was with me, and he lost it. He's like, you knew Howie Godnick? And my dad's like, yeah, it's just funny how I'll still people will be like, I was in Italy actually, and someone was a rider and oh, I knew you were in Israel. Jenn just mentioned, oh, you're a marathon? Oh, I'm like, oh my God, so he really, he touched a lot of people, and that's really special, and I do appreciate that every day. And so now I can take that in a little more,
I do. Yeah. And you're so eloquent with your words, and so careful and thoughtful about other people's feelings. I can just tell you, I would not be as nice as you are about it. And I don't mean that I shouldn't be, or that you're wrong to be that way, but I have a really hard time with that, and I always have. It is a special relationship whenever you're in a relationship with somebody. That's different, and I'm sure that I will go through my version of that someday if Tom passes before me, because
I don't think you'll have to deal with the same outpouring, so you'll be okay.
Yeah, it's going to be different because it's Peloton. But everywhere we go in St. Louis, just because you've been in radio and marketing, there's always somebody that knows you. So there's always a lot of people that kind of that think that they know you, and I'm just but they don't know him the way I know him. So I can't even imagine.
They better not. Be in a lot of trouble.
It's real, right, Crystal? It is real.
Absolutely.
That was, there did feel like a lot of people taking ownership of him during that time. And, I had my people that I'd call, and I would not be this eloquent and not this nice. Be they need to back off. But I would say it privately because I was in such grief and mourning, and I just had to, and I'm good at shutting some stuff off and not watching it and not looking at it and not having notifications and protecting myself. And it took me a while. I pushed a lot of people away at the beginning for a while, and then I, slowly was letting him in. But I think it was important that he was mine, and his children's and his, and his men, and they knew him, and that's what matters. But yeah, it's taken me. I'm 8.5 months out, and it's still painful, and it will be. He was larger than life. I say this to Andrew Cover. I'm like, I'm screwed. He was so larger than life. How do you find someone that was so funny and so, I'm screwed.
I admit, Carrie, that is a tough act to follow. And I don't know.
Andrew Cover says, yeah, you are. You're kind of screwed.
You are spoiled. You were spoiled by Howie, in every way.
Love like that, It's very unique. So I'm also grateful. But.
I always loved how close you guys were, and how everything you did together. I just feel like you have this really unique relationship where you were very close, but you also maintained your separate like lives. And I was always so like fascinated by that because it's so healthy and it's so adult and modern. And like, I've never seen anybody successfully pull it off the way you guys do.
We live 4 blocks apart just by chance. And at the time we met, my kids were younger, his were older. That's not sexy. Come, raise my, young kids. That's not fun. Let me come over and get a break. That's way more sexy. Let's be honest. And it became our thing. We really liked it. It was like when, I recommend it. Like, I can't imagine now how people live together. Like, it's a nice break. And then you get to be with each other when you really want to be with each other. I mean, the last year and a half when we bought the house together, that was our home, but we still didn't live there full time together. So it was always a gift, we get to go, be alone up in our own space. But I don't know how people, how do you live together?
If Crystal kicks me out after this interview, we're going to have one of those not so eloquent conversations.
You might not mind it. You might be, as long as I have like a good good place. And like, she's gonna fit, but a lot of people didn't know it. I don't know how many people really knew that we didn't live together, but we lived 4 blocks. I mean, it was literally like, I didn't have to pack them. I mean, it was,
yeah,
it's close.
It's still fascinating to me.
But I do see the potential appeal of it. It's nice to like have your own space, even though you have your own space within homes.
It's just different.
It's different.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's different.
Get excited. Like, you're like, you make a point of it. You go there, and if you're not in the mood, you're like, you're being a jerk. I'm not coming over. Bad boy. But no, it really did work for us. I mean, and it was evolving. I mean, I think, my kids were getting older and we were evolving. I mean, we were eventually, getting, that was going to probably change, but at the right time for us, but.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Sadly, yeah.
I think it's cool that you were able to do that. I'm too needy. I like having the constant attention. So.
Well, I got the constant attention, Crystal. It was just very different. So, it wasn't like I didn't hear from him or we weren't in touch, because we were in touch, and that's where I'm saying, like, he was mine. Like, like people think they knew him, or, because he did reach out and he was always, there for people, but like, they have no idea. They have no idea.
I'm sure.
But no, I'm still on I'm still Pelotoning in the summer. I like to do it a lot. I did go in for one. I got to go to Maddie's.
Oh, you did?
I went to Maddie live, his first member class, and he's just such a great energy, sweet guy. And that was really fun. And hopefully I'll be back soon. Although I appreciate, it's so different. I mean, it's just a different.
What is it like? I mean, you've been around Peloton, I mean, since the beginning. So what is it like comparatively?
It's completely different. I mean, it's just completely different. I mean, people that have lived like we did at 23rd Street, I mean, it was just so easy and fun. And it was, I think I said this in the last time we spoke. I was not a spinner. I was a runner during the early days of spinning when Howie was spinning, but I was never a spinner. And then he got me into it because Peloton to me was always like running on a bike. It wasn't dancing. And I'm not a dancer on a bike. I'm not a dancer. It's just very different. That was such a community. It was like a hangout. I mean, I would go home from work and stop there and take a class, like it would just be like a no big deal. And now I knew I could see it coming even before COVID. This is now going to be the Today Show. This is now going to be SNL, like getting tickets. It's a whole show now. And it's just different. I mean, it's nobody's fault. It's just the evolution of it. And I think it's hard when you knew before to kind of roll with it. And I think if you know now, that's all you're going to know. But it's going to feel like a TV show and you're going to be in it. It's very fancy. When I went, it was very fancy. It's, luckily I don't care. Like I've known the instructors that I need to know or wanted to know from very early on and consider them friends. And so I can go and just see who I want to see. And, I like to take a spin class, but we do have the bike here.
Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, I think it's also different because you live in New York too, so it's easier to kind of let go of that. I mean, I don't feel like it's any secret. I'm a little bitter about it because I mean, I can't just take off and go there and like so, it's so difficult to get those classes now that it's like to try to make a trip around it is like almost impossible,
And to that end, I was just saying to someone, I don't know who I was saying, I appreciate that. Like, I don't need to go anymore. Like it should be for the out of towners. I went, I did there. I'm happy. Like I'm sure I'll go for one. I'll get one class with a spin. I didn't do a spin. I'll do one spin class and then I don't need to go. I don't need to pay whatever money when I have the bike here to, you know, I don't need to do that. And I really do agree with you. I think us locals who've been and done it should let other people have their turn. I really do.
See, you're just the nicest person ever. Like,
no, I do. Like, I mean, what enough is enough. Like, if you live local and you've been a million times, what are you proving? Like, I don't know.
I like it. It's like it's like seeing you two on the War tour versus seeing you two on the Zooropa tour.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's, yeah.
And I didn't see either.
And I'm thinking Joshua Tree was my album, so I'm like, which one am I thinking?
Yeah, where would that fall, Tom?
Zooropa is when they jumped up to stadiums. They went from Joshua Tree was when they moved up from theaters to arenas, and then Zooropa is stadium. So
Well, it is the same. Yeah. So will you continue your? What are you doing with marathons? Like, I mean, I know you like to run. I know you're going to continue to do that. So how does that look?
Every county. No.
Well, I'm still running. I ran another one. I ran Brooklyn in April. And I am gearing up for 3 more in the fall. And
is it hard to stay motivated when you had that big goal and now it's just like, there's one more?
No, it's such a good question, Tom, because it isn't. Running became my thing so long ago that it's so me, right? It's so like I came back from eating my way through Israel and Italy, and I've literally run, I think 50 miles since I got back. Like I'm running like 10, like it's just my thing. It's what I enjoy. The motivation, I think I do realize no one's going to be as excited about my marathons anymore. Like it's just,
they're like, you did the thing.
I did it. Like enough with your freaking marathon.
Right. We get it. Your legs work.
I get it.
Yeah.
I've done 66 marathons. I have 3. I'm going to do 100. Like that's now my new goal is 100.
Okay.
So my boss said 100. I'm like, that's only 3 a year. Because my 8, whatever. So before 60, I want to do 100 before 60. So I have 3 more ready for this year. I'm going to do New York every time I can because it's just easy. And I think what I'm doing now, because Howie and I love to travel to them. They were really fun. And what I do want to do is the majors. So I want to do Berlin. I was supposed to do Berlin this year. I'm deferring it because I have a conference. But Berlin, London, and Tokyo I want to do because that's just the major. So that would be fun. And I'm going to try to do some that are just like easy to get to. I'm going to go do Newport, Rhode Island because that's easy, and Delaware. So without spending too much money on the travel anymore.
Yeah.
So I'll just try to add them up, just kind of, and I have some friends that are finishing 50 that I want to go finish with them, and I'll go support them. So that'll be fun. I think my friend Gary's going to go do Napa. So I'm like, oh, okay. I can do that. I think it's fun. So yeah, I'm just going to keep going. I think it's so ingrained in me, Tom, that it's something I just do, and I it won't be as exciting. And
I feel the same way about dick jokes. Like that's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's my marathon.
Yeah, that's on brand.
I've told a dick joke in 37 states, and that's my goal.
Howie's at his memorial. One of either his son or his partner said that when he was the valedictorian of his law school, he opened his speech with a dick joke. And that was the opening, and that's just so Howie. But he could get away with it.
Yeah. Yeah, so can Tom. I could never. I could never, Carrie.
We did that. It would be like,
right?
It's so appropriate. And then she threw out a dick joke. I could make Howie laugh. I could. It was very secretive and I could make him laugh, but no one else.
No one else. I don't believe that. You make me laugh all the time. So now I think, what about like the ones in like Antarctica? Are you going to like hit those too? Going to do one on every continent?
I mean, that would be kind of cool. I would like to do, I think, if I do the majors, that's Europe and Asia.
You don't have much left.
No, I wouldn't have that much left. I would. I'm game for that. I have a friend who was talking about Antarctica. I would definitely, don't put anything past me. Like if someone said, this is what we're doing and let's go, I'm sure I would do it.
But you're not going to like start switching to like ultra marathons suddenly.
No, although two of my best friends I used to run marathons with them. One of them is going to finish his 50 states soon, but they switched to Ironman. Like she just announced it. This was actually 6 months before Howie died, and she announced it, and Howie goes, "Oh no, Carrie!" Oh, because she saw. He's like, oh. And I'm like, no, I'm going to finish my 50. But I grew up as a swimmer, so it actually makes sense for me to try to do triathlons, not so much ultra, but tries. and I've kind of been putting it off. It's so much commitment. My kids, I feel like once maybe the kids are out of the house, I'll try to do some sort of triathlon. But just the other day, I got a wrong mail in my mailbox. It's Triathlete magazine. This is a sign. Like, I do need to do one. I say it all the time. I did grow up a swimmer. I have that piece, which is always typically the hardest part.
Yeah.
So
that's true. I mean, I know when we were putting together our relay team for Atlantic City, like we had a tough time finding a swimmer, like a real tough time.
That's like my first sport. Like in first language, swimming is my first sport.
Wow.
So
wow. That's incredible.
I just have to do it. I don't know.
I'm sure you will. I feel like you will.
I think I will. I have to. But no, I still have the motivation, Tom, because I still have the motivation to, like, I'll say it a million times, the running, the bike, all that is so much more for this than it is for anything else. It's always been like that. I needed to clear my head. I needed to not kill anybody, just all of that.
And so far,
it's been successful.
You have not killed anyone that we know of. So far, so good.
Exactly.
She didn't really fight that very hard.
Yeah. Yeah, she was a little non-committal.
She
not gonna lie. She's like, if you choose to believe that,
then go for it.
I will let you.
And what about like if Peloton comes out with a rower? Are you going to add the rower into your life?
I don't even have room for the tread.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I thought I wanted a tread upstate, and it didn't even really fit there. So I don't really have the space for it. And I like to run outside. I've never been a rower, so I can't imagine, like, I don't have that space. I think, if I ever moved to the burbs or moved somewhere with space, I would probably do it all. But,
well, hey, if you ever want to come to the Midwest, we got lots of space, Carrie. We got lots of space here. It's one thing we got.
You get the rower? Are you going to get the rower?
Probably.
Who are we kidding? Yeah. She's over here like, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll get the rower.
Probably.
She'll get the rower.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of need it. I feel like, we need that stuff.
We need the arm strength. Yeah.
I figured you'd be like, I don't need to row. I know how to swim.
That's true, but I don't have a pool. But I do an arm thing almost every other day. I do 10-minute arms every other day on the Peloton app. I do meditation like a maniac.
Wow.
All the time.
I think that's great.
That seems like the wrong way to do meditation. I think you're missing the point. I mean, I don't know much about it, but
you are right. I set you up for that, but I do them a lot. I do them, and I go to sleep to a meditation every night.
But that's good because it makes your meditation skills stronger. It's just like a muscle, and it makes it better for your brain. You can your time that you can not focus, clear your mind gets better every time you do it. So that's wonderful. Have you tried Tunde's like arm program? Have you done that one?
No, you know what I do? I bookmark every 10-minute arms class to everyone and that are on the bike because I don't like to get on the ground.
Oh, okay.
I can't see my screen and I don't want to do. They have to be on the bike so that I get off, but I want them to be on the bike so I can stand up for the whole arms. And so I just go through and whoever. I mean, I go back and I just do whoever's. I'll do whoever. I'll just pick whoever's I haven't done and I just do them all. And so I do that. I do. Yeah. So no, that I haven't done her arms. She's hard.
Yeah.
She's really hard, really good. They're all really good.
Yeah. I mean, her arms are just like # goals.
They've been copyrighted. That's how
they should be if they haven't.
They intimidate me. But then the exercises, it really gets me. But no, I use it. Like, in fact, I had to call help for the first time the other day, the service line, and the guy's looking at my stats. The sweetest guy on the help desk and was saying, wait a second, I'm looking at your runs and your rides and your strength and your meditation. He was the nicest guy and he was going on and on. I'm like, he was so sweet. I'm like, oh, thank you. I had the bike time.
It's kind of weird to think that they can see all that. You're like, should this be protected by HIPAA?
It was a little weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, but he was so sweet. And he was like the most earnest guy. He's like, Carrie, like, look at all the rides you've done. Look at all this stuff. And he's like, so sweet. He got me help really quickly. We got to make sure you're okay. I'm like,
well, thank you.
Basically, my internet was my internet. It
wasn't even Peloton. But he took care of you. How wonderful. That's wonderful.
I was having issues here and it had nothing to do with the bike. But he was very sweet. He made me feel good.
That's hilarious. I love that.
Yeah.
We need to make sure people know your leaderboard name so you can get a ton more followers.
Well, I am a marathon mom. I am the original. So if you see Marathon Mom 1 or any other marathon.
I saw an 87 the other day, and I was like, wait, does that mean there's 86 others, or is that her year? What does that mean? I was confused.
Who knows? And there's underscores and there's exclamations. But when it's just Marathon Mom, and that's me.
So when someone tries to get Marathon Mom and they can't, it's because of you.
Right.
Nice.
But I've had it since, 2000 and 2015, whenever we got the bike, 2015.
I think it was 2015 because because you got it back when Marion was still a coach. So
Well, that's how he found it. But he gave me the name. He bought me the bike and gave me the name. And he's like, you can change it. I'm like, no, it's fine. And that was when everyone was, Jason R. and, everyone was Max. They were like very.
It was like their leaderboard name was like Steve.
Steve.
Yeah.
Steve. So I am Marathon Mom still, and will stay. In fact, I asked them. I said, "No one can take Godnick, right?" Like, because I was like, because it's still on my bike, and I'm like, no one can take. They're like, no, it's done. I'm like,
oh, good. Okay, good. That's good to know. Now, is that an everybody thing, or is that because they were like, this is Howie? And I ask because I didn't know what does happen when you pass away.
I don't know. I can't imagine. I think if it's, I don't know. I'm not really sure, but I remember when I asked, I'm like, I don't want anyone. I mean, it's still active on my bike, so I don't know.
I'm glad either way. I can't imagine. It must always be for Howie.
Yeah.
Forever.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Absolutely.
And I guess when I do finally go in there, I'll try to ask for bike 11 so that I'm on his bike, even though I don't think it's the same spot,
it's not because it's a different studio, but it's,
just the number.
For sure.
Yeah. And I'll be watching you bawling.
If I could ever get in, I mean, right?
I know the feeling, girl.
I thought I was going to go to one, and I never got the word, so I didn't go. So it's okay. Other than I did go to Maddie's walking class, so I'm not complaining.
So I guess since we always kind of wrap these up with the same thing, I know you've already answered once, but you probably don't remember what you said, and we don't either. So if you say the same thing, it won't matter. Do you have any advice for people who are just entering the world of Peloton?
Sure. I mean, just have fun with it. I mean, I just have fun with it. There's nothing serious about it. I mean, I'm the last person that actually listens to what they instruct on the ride. I do a lot of my own thing, and it's just to be in a class. It's just to be, holding yourself accountable. It's find a routine with it, but have fun with it. It does not have to be serious. It could just be 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It could be anything. It could be a 10-minute arms that you don't get on the bike. But I just think it doesn't have to be so serious, and just make it a fun part of your day, and just consistency. I love doing it. I still love doing it. I mean, I can't believe I'm still, before work, I get up at 5 and I ride every morning. I just like it. So I just think have fun and find different instructors. I'm a big Dennis fan, if anyone cares. I think he is hilarious and great, and
so smart. He's so smart.
He's so smart. I'm in a big, and people always say, everyone knows how we love Jenn, but I teased her when I saw her recently, when everyone was giving her all this attention. I'm like, Jenn, I was so tempted to get on your page and say, you know what? His favorite instructor was Sam. And she laughed because he loved Sam Yo. He loved it. Just to be like, enough of the Jenn. He loved other people too. But, he didn't care. It was just a joke. And she laughed. She's like, you should do that. Just find instructors and have fun. The people that speak to you, and then change them up. I go through phases. Sometimes I love some, and then I'm like, oh, and as anyone would be with any of us, right? You get sick of one and you just switch back and circle around.
I love how real you are. That's great. Yeah. That's
it was true though. I'm like, Sam Yo was actually his favorite. Not
you
true.
heard it here first.
Yes, breaking news.
Sam was second. And Christine, of course, too.
And of course. I was actually thinking that. I was like, he did love a lot of instructors because he would talk about.
But he was a fan. I mean, there's a couple he did not like, but we will not mention. But yeah. But
we'll save that for the after combo.
Yeah.
We'll record that after this, and it'll be on our Patreon.
There you go, your special one. Okay, if you want it for your special, I can give you a little scoop. Is he really? You know what? He's gone. He wouldn't care. Tell them all. He would. A lot of times I'll say something and I'm like, to someone, I'm like, that's so inappropriate. I'm like, but he would love that I said it. He'd be like, say that inappropriate thing, that I'm gone. Something silly. He would be all for it.
Well, Carrie, I really appreciate you sharing this with us, sharing yourself, sharing you and Howie. I really appreciate it. Always been a big fan of your guys' relationship, and both of you just amazing people. And
we were big fans of yours too from the beginning, and he got a kick out of you both and was really supportive of what you guys did and how you did it. So much love right back to you guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Clip out.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and the Peloton leaderboard at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And of course, don't forget our newsletter at theclipout.com. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling.
And running.
Clip in, set yourself free.